Never heard of a killer? I drop bombs like Hiroshima.
Somebody said, look at Leak You video. What the fuck is Leak You? Is it like a site? What's Leak You? Leak You. Is it a YouTube channel? Oh, shit. Oh, all right, bet. Here we go.
Please hit the like. Thank you.
One, two, three, four.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks, depending on where you are across the world. I have some very interesting information that I want to get out and share with you all today. And it is regarding UFOs, the disclosure of UFOs, and Donald Trump's recent, statement that he was going to be, pushing, moving, ordering the release of information around UFOs, and and we've been prepping for that. This was back in February. Well, guys, it appears that there are pastors that have been contacted by government officials and have been meeting in secret with these pastors. These government officials have been meeting in secret with these pastors around the United States. They were, and we'll get more into that. They were actually asked to come to this meeting. They were asked to turn their phones, off, or put them in airplane mode. We'll get to a lot of the details, but essentially, they're being advised that disclosure is coming, and when it drops, it is going to have serious implications. Mostly the shaking of one's faith, because it is said that when disclosure drops, it is going to unleash some biblical or Bible changing revelations. And that's the thing I really want you all to be very aware of. Now, I know I'm not a religious channel. I don't do, biblical, and I'm not a biblical scholar, anything like that. But when you delve into certain topics, any time around aliens, UFOs, and you get really deep into that, there's always some biblical conversation that happens with that. And one of the things that you're going to see is some people coming out saying, hey, you all better be careful. This is what we call the Great Deception. Aliens want humans to believe that they created us, that there's no God. If there's any book in the Bible that, Satan, as he's building his army, would not want people to read, it would be the book of Enoch, right? Because the book of Enoch, really, if you've ever taken the opportunity to read that, anytime, like I said, you delve into this topic, that's going to be one of the first things you're going to hear. Book of Enoch, Book of Enoch, Book of Enoch. So, in the book of Enoch goes into the fallen ones, the Nephilim. Some feel that aliens are just another avatar. It used to be giants. Now you've got Satan, cloning bodies. And you all, I'm just, talking about the great deception and what that means and what you will hear from certain Christian ministry podcasters out here. Like I said, it's called The Great Deception. And there's been a lot of information over the last few years. You'll see it on YouTube. Things like the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki created humans. They designed us. We were a science experiment. We were created as a working class to mine gold for the Anunnaki for their home planet. Right? All these things. And then there's some, like I said, in that, in the Christian domain, so to speak, who believe in God. And of course, if you have uh, you know, an opposing team, so to speak, which would be Satan, doesn't want people to believe in God. So Satan wants people to believe that, and that they created, the Anunnaki created, humans. So that, again, the great deception. And that's what kind of, when I see that statement about how religious leaders are being prepared for UFO disclosure because it's going to unleash Bible changing revelations. This is a situation where people are, going to come out and they're going to make these, release these files or make disclosure. And in those files, we should prepare ourselves for what I was just mentioning about how aliens claim that they created humans. They designed us, and on and on and on. That is the Bible changing revelation, so to speak, right? How many people will believe that? I think a lot of people probably will. But let's get into more of the details, folks, about this latest push. And we're going to get into some of the details of the meeting. Now, again, back in February, President Trump said, he came out and he said that he directed his administration to release files on UFOs and any alien and extraterrestrial life. Now, just to pause right there, you and I both know that if the government ever admits that UFOs, and I'm not talking about the hearings in Congress, we all know that it's a real phenomenon. But I'm saying if we actually have an official stand behind their, their logo and I'm just thinking the White House briefing room, right? The press room. Could you imagine the White House press secretary uh, sitting up there and speaking to the American people, or Donald Trump coming on speaking to the American people and saying, yeah, it really exists. It's real. That has never happened. And that is what Donald Trump is trying to usher in. And many, including myself, uh, think and claim that Donald Trump is using this as a distraction from his war in Iran. It was only when the Iran war started going really poor, but it's not even just the war in Iran, folks. The real truth is he wants a distraction from the Epstein files. When the Epstein files came out, right? It just dominating and dominating and dominating headlines 2 months straight. Not just mainstream media, but you got all the podcasters. I mean, I've never seen so many people cover a singular topic, meaning, the Epstein files at one time as I ever in my life on the internet, right? And so Donald Trump was getting a lot of pressure about the Epstein files. Donald Trump is mentioned more than anyone in the Epstein files, period. And so Donald Trump needed a distraction from that. And then, of course, the war in Iran, began. And that really it hasn't been going too great. But the real truth is the Epstein files caused Donald Trump to come out and make this statement back in February. So I do want to make sure I preface that as I'm telling you this. Now, there was a Truth Social post that Um, the president told Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and other agency heads to, quote, begin the process of identifying and releasing any relevant files. Now, I was going to say, you all know that if they do come out and do this, and it's like, hey, we've got craft, we've recovered craft, etc. The next question's going to be, well, who created the craft? Who's driving the craft? Who's flying those craft? It's the technology is it's 10,000 years beyond what humans have even thought of. And so you're not really going to be able to disclose there's UFOs and not some sort of NHI or non-human intelligence. That's just, they're hand in hand. It's going to be impossible for them to, disclose UFOs, not disclose non-human intelligence that, created these craft. Again, these craft, we're talking about craft that they grow these craft. There's, go look at the 4chan whistleblower thread. One of the most interesting things that's happened just in the last few years, where it talks about a site out in the ocean, in the Atlantic, where these craft are created on spec. If you're going to go mine some minerals, well, this is the craft you'll need. And these are the tools, and we'll create it, on spec. God only knows what happens to him after, but it's very interesting, right? I just want to throw that out there. So Donald Trump again has, asked these agency heads to begin the process of identifying and releasing any relevant files. We don't know what that's going to mean. I know it'll be a great day. Don't get me wrong. I know it's going to be a great day when that happens, but don't for 5 seconds think that the government's going to be 100% honest with us. The way they did the Epstein files and the way things were, getting redacted, and there's no telling what this push will look like or what this file release will look like. But are you aware that the government has now registered the domain of Aliens.gov and Alien.gov? Yeah. A .gov domain is like a .com, .net, .co, .us, whatever. We've got domains that rely on country codes. Government organizations use .gov. If you're not a government organization, you can't even register the domain to be whatever .gov. Well, Alien and Aliens.gov has been officially registered. This just in the past month. So we know that there's something happening behind the scenes. There's definitely some sort of acceleration process, right, that has happened. And then just a couple of days ago, okay, I'm talking not even a week ago, Donald Trump continued to signal that major disclosure was coming in regards to UFOs in the very near future. Again, he's sparking his statement just a couple of days has kind of sparked additional or has renewed public interest in this. And, we really want to see government transparency, better than. It's just so sad that the government thinks we're so stupid when it comes to this topic, that we can't handle it. We have a right. We have an absolute right to know anything that causes any potential risk or harm to our families, to ourselves. We have a right to know about any and all of it. And the United States government has been covering this topic. This is the most classified topic in the government. Ask around. Aside from nuclear, technology and things like that. But when it comes to aliens and UFOs and UAPs, that is the most classified of the classified. I mean, everything around the topic is so top secret. And the other concern that I have, folks, because Sean Kirkpatrick came out, he used to be the head of Arrow, right? And a lot of, Sean Kirkpatrick hasn't always been honest with with the American people. He's not the head of Arrow anymore, but he's not always been upfront and honest about, the UFO topic. And he even came out and he said, hold up, pull your reins in, pull your reins in. Um, you know, he said straight up that he thinks Trump's promises, were a bluster, a quote, shiny object to distract Americans from the war with Iran. He actually said this, although again, he seems to have, completely missed the Epstein files, right? But again, Sean Kirkpatrick, he is a physicist. He's a former career intelligence officer. He led the Aero office until 2023. He's saying that he has seen government records and he believes there are no bombshell revelations to be found. Now, if you understand the complexity or the compartmentalization in which our government runs things, there is a whole lot of things that the Aero office is not even privy to. There are black projects, absolutely, that have been going on for decades that we pay for. United States citizens pay for. Our money goes into like this black hole, right? For these black projects, trillions. And a lot of the projects around UFOs or studying UFOs, the technology, the NHI, the non-human intelligence, studying them, they're getting their taxonomy, all those sorts of things. Arrow's not even privy to that. These are projects and work that's been compartmentalized and is working completely outside the bounds of Arrow. So there is that. Okay. Now, let's get into, folks, the recent revelations that government officials are talking to pastors here in the United States and preparing them for this disclosure. I want to get into some of these details. And I'm, fresh to it. And so let's just do it together, shall we?
Sent me a text message.
Give me just 1 second here. Let me this is Perry Stone. This video has went viral. You'll see it, probably on X or some other platforms. But Perry Stone made this clip, and you all, let's just take a look.
I had a friend that sent me a text message. I was in a meeting, a weekend meeting, preaching Friday, Saturday, and Sunday morning. And he said, Perry, can you give me a call? I have some information that has come to my attention. Of course, when a friend of yours does that you know quite well, you have no idea what information they're talking about. And I'm not going to go into great detail, but there were a large number of pastors that had been invited to go to a certain state to hear some men in the United States government and others share with them a concern that they had. And this particular man, and I'll not name him, and then we may end up doing some teachings with him or having an event at his church. He has a great church. But he said, Perry, what they're about to release, from what we're hearing, there's going to be a release concerning aliens and concerning unidentified flying object spacecraft, that some of the people who were in the meeting were telling us as pastors, you need to prepare your people and you need to get ready to answer them for what you're about to hear being released. And some of it has to do with crafts that have been discovered that are not allegedly a part of our planet, and the materials they're made of are not a part of our planet. Very strange reptilian looking creatures and other things that almost sound like something out of a sci-fi movie or an Orson Welles book.
Listen, we've been trying to tell you all for years, right? I'm curious how those that always spend their time trying to debunk the UFO phenomena. I'm curious, how y'all are going to take this when it happens, when the government actually starts pushing and disclosing these files. Like, are you going to become a believer, or are you going to continue to try to debunk? I don't know. Listen, let me tell you a little bit about the Great Deception. All right. A little bit more about the Great Deception. Number one, shout out to L.A. Marzulli. He's always, talks about this whenever he's got documentary after documentary, and he's been on several podcasts where he talks about the Great Deception. But the Great Deception, basically, some feel that extraterrestrials don't come from other planets at all, that they are from right here, and that these so-called alien beings, right, are actually it's a human vessel that hosts the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim, or the fallen ones, the angels, the fallen angels, right? And they're interdimensional, and they're not friendly. They abduct people. They steal sperm. They steal ova. They have done everything from cloning beings using human DNA down to impregnating women and coming back and stealing the child 2-3 months later, right? L.A. Marzulli has tied the rise in UFO sightings to biblical prophecy and end time events, right? He's even referenced various biblical passages from the Bible, and he says, do not be deceived. This is going to be a global deception, in that UFOs are going to play a major role in this great deception. For many years, Christians, certain sects of Christianity have absolutely dismissed the UAP or UFO phenomena as being something irrelevant or fringe. But we will see. L.A. Marzulli has also talked about how Satan is building his army, by with that human breeding program, that hybridization, the hybrids, the hybridization program. We've heard so many people talk about some sort of a hybrid program. Got to wonder, why would beings? I mean, there's so many people that report being abducted by NHI and UFO or UAP craft. I mean, thousands every year. All of them are not lying, right? That's my opinion, my perspective, right? And it's like, what do they want? What do they want with people, right? Well, apparently they want the eggs and they want the sperm. They are very into reproduction. They do physical analysis of your health and your body and all of these various things. And they follow. It's been discussed or talked that they actually follow entire family lineages. Like, they follow generations of families for years, right? So anyway, we've now got pastors coming out saying, hey, we're getting contacted now, and it is in line with everything that's been going around, going on within the UFO world, the UAP world, just this year alone. Again, Donald Trump says in February, it's time, we're going to start disclosing everything around the topic of UFOs. And And then now, here it is a few months later. Okay. And now pastors are getting contacted. Listen, I want you all to very quickly listen to this. All right. I think this is really an important clip.
Is real.
They're real, but I haven't seen
Are
them.
aliens real?
Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in what is it?
Area 51.
Area 51. There's no underground facility unless there's this enormous conspiracy, and they hid it from the president of the United States.
Now you heard it. That is former President Obama. He has not been shy on this topic. We have had several presidents that have been briefed on this topic. The most interesting briefing that I've ever read was the one when Reagan was briefed. I think it was 81 or 82, in which we even got to just, hear and listen about the taxonomy of I think it was 5 species of these beings. But it shouldn't. It's been a long time coming, but it's been no secret. It's been pretty obvious. There has been a major push for disclosure the last few years, and now we've got President Obama straight up. Yeah, they're real, straight up.
Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in what is it?
Area 51.
Area 51. There's no underground facility unless there's this enormous conspiracy, and they hid it from the president of the United States.
What was the first question you wanted answered when you became president?
Where are the aliens?
Where are the aliens?
All right, now go back. I just wanted you all to see that, but going back to the fact that we've now got pastors coming forward. Alan Didio, okay, has posted as of 4 hours ago the following. He says, quote, "The news is true. I was brought into a private meeting with other pastors, phones off, no recordings. We were warned. Disclosure is coming, and many will be unprepared for what follows. Pastors must begin preparing their people now." That's interesting. Wow. And then I start thinking, like, what was the selection process to, for these pastors to come to Washington or whatnot? Listen, let's hear what Alan says here regarding this.
Joseph Z and myself were lured into a meeting at an undisclosed location where we were forced to turn our phones on airplane mode and hear from those who are working within the intelligence agencies and investigating them what's going down. I'm going to be sharing little pieces of that, not everything, but little pieces of that. Me and Joseph Z are going to come together later and do more. And Obama, Trump, the Secretary of War have all come out and made some statements about disclosure concerning UAPs and UFOs. In addition to that, a famous billionaire who works in the aerospace industry has said that aliens are currently among us. I wonder what you think in the comments. I'm going to be showing you the video of him saying that. Plus, AI has turned the Shroud of Turin into a living, moving image. I'm going to show you what that looks like here in this broadcast. We've got a lot that,
and so it's interesting. Let us
section where people are,
yes, we actually
answering that poll.
I've had a poll going for a while now, and we've got 105 votes so far. 33% of you have seen a UAP, and 67 of you have not seen a UAP, an unidentified aerial phenomena. And so it's interesting. Let us know in the poll below. But we've got Faith Knowles watching. We've got KN watching from Jonesville, North Carolina.
11 naturally follows 6 here in a moment, because it was very interesting. Because there it is right there. We were, for the first time in our building, back in our building. I want to thank the same. Is what he says. Is what he says.
Give me just a second to fix something real quick.
Evan needs just a second to fix something very quickly. I think I broke into that a little soon. But are you ready? You got to speak to us.
I am ready now. Yes, I got to learn how to talk and type at the same time.
You can play guitar and sing at the same time.
It's totally different. I don't know why. It's weird.
All right. Let's see what Obama has to say.
Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in what is it?
Area 51.
Area 51. There's no underground facility unless there's this enormous conspiracy, and they hid it from the president of the United States.
What was the first question you wanted answered when you became president?
Where are the aliens?
Where are the aliens?
Oh, so unless there's there couldn't be a massive conspiracy, could there? No, it's not possible. There could not be a massive conspiracy. But what do you guys think? So first he says, yeah, they're real, but there's not a massive conspiracy, or unless there is a massive conspiracy to hide it from the president. The president is, after all, a figurehead for the corporations that run all of the NGOs who are manipulating our government right now. We're in a very precarious situation. We've got to get serious about this election coming up, but I don't want to get into that. We got into that on Flashpoint last night. Here's what Trump had to say in response to what President Obama had to say. Take a look at this.
Barack Obama said that aliens are real. Have you seen any evidence of non-human visitors to Earth?
Well, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. You know?
So aliens are real?
Well, I don't know if they're real or not. I can tell you he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. Well, he made a big mistake.
Barack Obama.
He gave classified information. Read that to us, Evan. Is that
okay? So this is from Donald J. Trump. Based on the tremendous interest shown, I will be directing the Secretary of War and other relevant departments and agencies to begin the process of identifying and releasing government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, and unidentified flying objects, UFOs, and any and all other information connected to these highly complex but extremely interesting and important matters. God bless America.
Now, this is coming right on the heels of the setup for the meeting that Joseph Z and I went to.
This is the day before? Is it the day before?
Well, it's the day before, the day of. There's a whole series of events, but the meeting was set up for the purpose. And I'm flipping through the book Summoning the Demon because there's been a slow drip of exposure that's been going on for decades. And in the book, which for some, it's taken off right now. I guess it's because of all of this. It's even doing better than the Rapture book right now. It's previously classified documents that are recently being declassified, and I share them with you so you can see them. You can see them in the book of what's been happening in the United States government. That's in Summoning the Demon, and there may be a link in the description for you to get this. Sir. If you don't already have this, you need to get it.
Yeah,
because
you can go to blameitonthepnephilim.com.
That's right,
the best URL. But there's also a link directly in the description to that, so you can go check it out, watch the video about it, and everything.
I can't believe that URL was available. Blameitonthepnephilim.com, because no matter what's going on in this world, you can always blame it on the Nephilim. But I saw so many going into conspiracy theories, so many going down rabbit holes, completely detached from the Word of God, and everything was Nephilim, and everything's together going into detail about the meeting that we went to. But these individuals who are involved in an organization that is investigating the United States government and their illegal activities surrounding UAPs. Interesting kind of meeting to go into. And we may talk about some of the things that we discussed in that meeting here in this broadcast, but ultimately the purpose of it was disclosure is coming quickly. And here's what the deception is going to look like. Here's the narrative. Here's what the propaganda is going to look like. And these people who are working in government agencies are pleading with pastors. They're pleading, please, prepare your people so that they are not deceived by what is coming. Please teach your people. And I think they're accustomed to talking to people who think this is fringe activity or they're scared to mention it from their pulpits. So I think they were relieved to realize they were in the room with some gentlemen who not only are aware of these things, but have extensively taught on it and written about it, preparing the church. So that's the reason for this book, because disclosure is coming. There is a disclosure coming. And many are going to be called unaware. People ask, what kind of impact do you think disclosure is going to have on the body of Christ? I don't want to ask you guys in the comments. Before I answer that, I want to know what you guys think, because we're going to be looking in the chat here. What do you think? The poll completed, let's see, 36% said they have had an encounter with a UFO.
So yeah, all of these different things. Again, I would absolutely encourage you all to read up or research the Great Deception. Again, we've got government officials preparing or meeting in secret with pastors. Some of these pastors are coming out and telling us about their meetings. And people are saying these are going to be Bible changing revelations. Again, what I believe those revelations will be is aliens claiming that they created us, that they created Jesus. That I've heard a lot. I've heard a lot of those things, and I've seen some very interesting government papers. I've, heard government insiders talk over the years, and you are going to hear that. You're going to hear that alien beings created us as a worker race, that we were created to mine gold, for, and some people, that may even be a second story, right? We were created to mine gold for planet Nibiru, for the Anunnaki, et cetera, et cetera. Or they may keep it plain Jane and just say, aliens created us, and won't go into the details of, Planet X and the Anunnaki and all that. Who knows? God only knows, right? Well, what it's going to say, but it's obvious to me that whatever is going to be disclosed is going to be something that is going to jar Christianity. Heck, not even just Christianity, many religions, right? To think that an alien being would claim that we're their creation, that Jesus was their creation and sent for the sole purpose of giving us a path or a template on how not to damage our containers, our human bodies, our human skins, right? Our avatar. So it gets really, really deep. It gets really deep, and I think that the religion aspect of it has been something many people have been afraid of even doing any sort of disclosure about UFOs and non-human intelligence because of the impact it would have on religion. So again, check out The Great Deception and, notice the blow up of videos and content the last few years on the Anunnaki, right? Y'all notice that? Just huge. That's something that's been talked about for decades, like decades upon decades upon decades, right? And it's so interesting that with the creation of the internet and just like the last few years, we have seen just like this crazy increase in content around the Anunnaki, the Sumerian tablets, Utapishtim and Gilgamesh and just all of that, right? And, you know, non-human intelligence wanting to create their own creation story. And if you're a believer in God, the thoughts going through your mind right now, again, there's been a hybrid breeding program that human DNA has been getting procreated, all sorts of things. And again, some say it's Satan building his army in preparation for the last days, that it is said will be like the days of Noah, when the Nephilim, or the fallen angels, when they fell, right? And laid with women and bore children with those women and taught human beings technology, war, how to make weapons, how to wear makeup, how to tell the time, how to tell the celestial luminaries, how to tell the seasons, all those very interesting things, right? So keep your eyes open, and I'll continue to, of course, come through and talk about it and discuss it. Y'all, we are not alone. There is a aspect of life some people will deny exists because they don't understand it. But the sooner that you rectify within yourself that we are not alone, it allows you to move forward in a way, in a path, period. Like, that's just the best way to say it. It allows us to move forward. It helps carve a path on how we move forward with this new, or this information, this confirmed information, because this is something, again, that many of us, like myself and others that have followed, we've been knowing this, right? Our whole lives. All the research that I've done on this topic, just this topic alone. And I'm glad that disclosure, is coming. I do feel sad in advance of, because I know we won't be getting the whole 100% truth, though. And I do hate the fact that Donald Trump is using this as a distraction from the Epstein files and the war in Iran. It makes me wonder, would he have did this if the Epstein files and the war in Iran, if it would have went his way? Got to be careful with those sorts of things. But you all, I appreciate each and every one of you for coming through. Before I get up out of here, allow me to pay a few bills, if you don't mind. Shout out to the Leak You community. Please join us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music.
Please hit the like. Thank you.
All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. I'll catch you all on the next video. Until next time.
The judgment sentence that you are an asshole. The trial is over. Thank you, everybody.
Let's play a game. You have 10 seconds to take all your stuff and get out of my life. 10, 9, 8.
God bless you, motherfucker.
You're really smart. Like really, really, really smart like I am.